Guys, we're in coronavirus lockdown, so I have to do my podcast remotely. So I'm about to interview Vera Mulyani. She's designing a city on Mars, okay? So some of y'all might live to see this. You probably not, but your friend, yeah, okay? Hola mi gente, your boy Skyy John here today with the Vera Mulyani. Did I say it correct?
I'm impressed.
Vera, tell us who you are and what it is that you do.
Thank you so much, Skyy. It's my honor to be able to be here with you, and hopefully, this will be the first and the launch for you guys to speak more about Mars.
Okay.
I am the CEO, Vera Mulyani, the founder of Mars City Design. It's a company that was set up in 2015. Long before this whole crisis happened. So
before coronavirus, go on.
Before coronavirus. Yeah, it's really interesting. At the time, it was a big vision that somebody like Elon Musk or an organization like Mars Society or Mars One that has been, envisioning to really reach out to this planet next door that requires at least 2-year trip to go and come back.
Because it's like 9 months there, right? 9 months. How long right now?
Yeah, it gets about 6 to 9 months depending on which time you are launching your vehicle from here.
What you mean, like which time?
So because of the orbit of with the sun, you have to try to make the adjustment of the travel. Sometimes the planet gets closer to us, and that's when the best time to jump into the the SpaceX rocket, hopefully, and get the shortest distance.
I wasn't even thinking about that because I was like, I won't go to Mars. I just wake up, jump in my spaceship, and I go. Now I realize, oh wow, that's right. Because we're orbiting, then we're circling the sun, so we need to make sure we closely align with Mars when we do that trip. Okay.
So you have that really, really well explained. So that is just because at our time right now, that's the technology that we have. That's why everyone is still exploring on how can we have an alternative way to travel to different planets and not having to spend that much time in space, because that's also the biggest challenge is that, your health system, your body resistance, everything is completely in a different environment. So a lot of astronauts have been, not enough, but a lot of them have been living in the space station. That's not too far away from Earth, but still their body has to, face different challenges like bone density that reduce and all this health, like the fluid in your brain and eye.
Oh, so you develop fluid in the brain as well for being up in space?
Well, just imagine that our body, and first of all, we're born and adapt to this beautiful planet's gravity. And so your whole body has been adapted to circulate, the blood and the nervous system, everything has been under 1G. So if you go disrupt that, it means that just imagine that water will float in microgravity. So you have to imagine how your fluid in your body also stagnant somehow, and it needs to move. That's why astronauts spend a lot more time and effort to use their machine up there. Even if they're not standing up with gravity, they are moving so that the bodies still have motions to maintain.
Okay, I know you're not a spaceship designer, okay? You put the finishing touches on, you don't deal with the engine. But I'm just thinking, with space travel, I always assumed that they were able to make the interior the same as it is here on Earth, or that's not the case. Because now that I think about it, they are floating around in the spaceship, so that was pretty dumb, Skyy. Okay, but I didn't pass science anyway. Go on.
Well, you see, that's actually one of the most motivating reason why I'm creating the company. So when I learned about this rush of brilliant people trying to reach Mars, I was really intrigued and remembered my childhood dream, to travel in space and discover other planets. Even if I was in such a remote place.
Because you were born in Indonesia.
Right. I was born in Jakarta, and, luckily, with that situation at the time in the mid-'80s, I was already well trained to be in quarantine.
Okay.
As a girl, it's not really safe to go out. And that's actually the main reason why I was able to focus on my dreams and learning a lot. Once I started to speak English, read in French, I was able to access all these new ideas and information. And I was just like, holy moly, there are all these vast universe out there. And here I am on my rooftop with my dog and towels of the whole family that I used to build the tent. I was just like, thinking, there should be somewhere else that I need to create value to and enable us to really get out. And
so hold on. So as a little girl, you were sitting there thinking that you wanted to see Mars?
Yes.
Like Mars? Not even the moon?
No, because I knew that the moon was always there. And it's funny because I envisioned the moon is like, oh, this thing has been following me. When you move, the moon moves.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay. But I see all these other stars, and it's just the unknown. It makes me really curious. What is amazing is that all this long journey that I have encountered have brought me to LA. That made me understand. Okay, I did journalism. That's how I met all the French friends and people that I worked for. Who helped me to move to Paris when there was this political issues at the time. And so in France, I was able to meet like great families, au pair families I worked for, but also learn French from. And I was accepted in the Beaux-Arts and architecture school. And that's really the turning point of, seeing the world in a different level.
Okay, hold on one second, because some people might be a little confused because we with this conversation we've been talking all about space, but you started this company, Mars City Design, and your company's goal is to build a city on Mars, a sustainable city on Mars. And you were born in Indonesia, and you went from Indonesia to France, and then I guess to America.
That's correct.
And now here we are. Okay, so go on. Finish what you're saying.
So, in architecture, I learned about how to realize a vision, how to realize things that you have in your mind, that cross your mind, not just doing artistic, abstract, artwork. It's about how do you make this impossible tangible and possible and affect a lot of life in a positive way. And it really taught me how to collaborate with people. So it taught me how to run, a company so that we together can build
a city on Mars. Yeah.
Not just, this is the most interesting thing, I think, in architecture is that you have to think far ahead of time to respond to today's problems. So you're not just treating symptoms, you're really looking into the root cause of every single problems that you have in front of you. And it's almost like let's build the context that we have around to make sure that every problems have a solution that is not just reactional. It's more like bringing us a new vision. So back to when 2015, when I created this company and I heard everyone getting excited about Mars, all I had in mind was like, how could you create this destination without thinking how we can live well there? So it's not just about surviving. It's really hard to travel just in general, but imagine traveling in space and staying away from the home planet for probably the rest of your time, because at the time, SpaceX was not created yet. So just for the audience, what's amazing about SpaceX is maybe other propulsion companies already had similar technology, but Elon Musk was able to make this very popular. Even it reaches the rest of the world, lay people who are not in science, to understand.
He's like a Tony Stark. Everybody's like kind of fascinated with him.
That's right. So what he had contributed into the space industry is that not only so he created this technology that can basically deliver us back home if we go to Mars or other planets, because of the way.
Oh, they're reusing the rockets, you mean?
Right.
Oh, yes,
and
that's right.
And it also changes the price of, traveling.
Making it cheaper.
Yeah, because it's like if you keep wearing a golden shirt and made of gold, and you have to keep throwing it away after one time of wearing it, then, it costs a lot more than if...
That's a beautiful example.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to...
Have you met Elon Musk?
We have met a couple times, but, he's a Tony Stark. So I think I show my respect by working on my end to make whatever he's doing right now successful in terms of creating a destination. Basically, if there is a new line of bus going to nowhere, then you better have a good entertainment in the bus, but still that's not enough. But if you have a good destination that makes everybody dream, then that bus becomes just crucial. So that's what I'm trying to do with the Mars City design. If we create something that is tangible, a place of destination, then we can have more motivation. But not just that. It makes the travel worth, and also increase the safety of it. And it contributes to our sustainability that we urgently need today.
You have a yearly competition where you have people submit designs, right?
That's right.
So where are we in this process? I mean, you guys already have a design lined up for Mars, or you're still trying to figure out what it is that you want to do on Mars?
What's interesting with innovations and technology, of course, it's a long R&D, research and development process, before we are able to create one. And the challenge is that in the meantime, we keep discovering new innovations. So 2015, when we launched the first competition, we had about 25 finalists out of about 250.
Okay.
So out of the 25 who came and celebrated, it was such a beautiful time. Buzz Aldrin showed up, the man who went to the moon with Neil Armstrong.
But by the way, not mean to cut you off. Going back to Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, how did they decide who came out first? Because everybody talks about Neil Armstrong, because if it was me, I'm just jumping out, okay? I need to hit the ground first so I can be in history. Skyy John landed on the moon, all right? I'm just saying.
You have your name. Whoever gave that name, you already own the sky.
So do you know if they flipped a coin or how that was determined? Who came out first?
I think that would be a question for Mr. Aldrin himself. Okay. I can ask. Well, we used to be text buddies.
Yeah, could you please ask him that? Because even if we draw lots, I'm still wrestling you to get out first, okay? Just to be in the history books, because that's free drinks at every bar for life.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't have a reality show yet, because otherwise that would have been really interesting to have.
Oh, yeah, to film them.
Hidden camera, how they wrestle to...
Yeah, that would have been an awesome reality TV show. Okay, the trip to the moon. Who comes out first?
And they keep forgetting to put that idea in the movies that they produce, telling us stories about Buzz. Yeah, good idea, Skyy. Well,
when you design for Mars, right? You've never been there. The soil is called regolith. Am I correct?
Yes.
Oh, I can use that as a pickup line. Okay. So how do you duplicate that on Earth to kind of get the right building materials? How do you even begin to get to do that?
My brain is like going so far, reaching out all the information now. So what's beautiful about this very distant project is we have already informations from the satellites that they sent to Mars. We have rovers running around. I mean, they're very slow for runners, but but they have collected. There are people working 24/7. Changing the teams depending on the hours they work around the world. They exchange informations and they create collected data so that they could deliver images that all of us would understand in terms of landscape, photography, cartography, typology. We have informations. NASA has a dedicated website for Mars, and you can dig in. It's like loaded of beautiful informations, and some of them talks about the regolith. So, as builders, architects, engineers, we're always looking at the context. Probably not American architects, because they don't care what the context is. They're just going to build whatever they design. So we're trying to, minimize the long-term outcome and learn so much about the site, the landscape, the climate. It's just like Earth, each point of geography on Mars will have different environment. So it's like Antarctica would be having different seasons from Jakarta, for example.
Okay.
So the sites that we're looking at will have some informations about the composition that they have also. This is what they are trying to increase more in terms of looking for information and sending the new rover to dig in certain samples on the soil, and they're able to indicate what are the ingredients. So what we do here is that a lot of volcanic quality can be found in the Napa Valley or Hawaii.
Or very similar to like what's on Mars.
If we mix it with different type of other soil that we can find everywhere. So also one of the reason why we choose Mars is not just because it's next door, but it's very similar to Earth compared to other planets, of course. So we can find some of the ingredients here, and you can mix it. That's basically one of the steps that we do,
True. Okay, everybody watching this right now is thinking the same thing. why Mars? Why so much focus on Mars when we got all kinds of shit here on Earth that need repairs? Okay, my bathroom broken right now. Why can't we fix that? Okay, but let's deal with Mars first. So why Mars?
I think, are you sure it's not because you put too much toilet paper there?
Yes, I went on a shopping spree, bunch of toilet tissue. It's now clogged, okay?
You see, this is an example of why it's not even the question why Mars. Mars is there, just like the moon. It's been waiting for us to discover. Actually, what's interesting to me, I'm right now working with 35 other collaborators around the world. They're all coming from different nationality, different spiritual belief, and different politics, different ages. But all of us put them aside. Some of the very religious people from the Mormon culture, Christianity, also Jewish culture, believe that we are created to take care, to live, and enjoy this planet. And so everything about space, screw it. I mean, the last one was a joke, but
that ain't really a joke because that's kind of what some people believe. But go on.
No, I think the problem is that we are accustomed to treat problems with only treating the symptoms and not going forward beyond the crisis and using the smart vision to go backwards. We're working with top-down method that will enable us to see further than just immediate circumstances. I would like to give an example of what space have contributed to our immediate crisis these days. We're not able to go out of the house, but we have Wi-Fi, we have satellites, we have our phones, and you and I are talking on a Zoom. Every single piece of your phone, some of them are derived and further innovations coming from what space and military have been working on for a long time. Okay, so it's huge. Imagine if not only we're quarantined, but we can't talk to anyone and there is no Wi-Fi. It will be really, really impossible to live.
So what you're saying basically is this process is going to bear a lot of new innovations and discoveries that could then be utilized here on Earth.
Thank you for the translation.
Exactly.
Yes.
I speak Indonesian, you see that?
I speak Martian, you see. I'm so sorry.
Okay, speaking how you just said you speak Martian. Let me just tell you what the future holds, okay? I'm going to be psychic here. So what's going to happen is in time, we will build a colony on Mars that is then going to be populated by humans. One day, those humans going to wake up and be like, hey, why are we dealing with these dudes back there on Earth? Why we have to get approval from them to do this and that? And so what we just built now is a war between Mars and Earth. Okay? Now that sounds crazy, but I guarantee you that can happen. I could bet money on that because we're still human at the end of the day and we love to fight. And they need their independence from us, okay? It could be the new America. Okay.
Okay. It's a very interesting subject. When you think about it, the name Mars is also coming from, ancient meaning.
Yeah, meaning war. The god of war.
I just have to say that I have a lot more hope, and it makes me feel a little bit sad, and I feel like there should be more uplifting and optimism in all these sci-fi stories, No,
but they built on human nature, and human nature is one where we love to fight. Because I I can already see this happening.
That is really, really good point. But I have to tell you this. If you're an American and just, you don't care about space or you care, it doesn't matter. Go to the NASA astronaut application website and try to apply. And when you apply, they give you an assessment test. And I would like each of us to try respond to their questions.
What's it called? The NASA application?
For astronauts. So they are recruiting astronauts to go to the moon. This is for the Artemis mission to the moon. So you could be the next person stepping on the moon after the time of Buzz Aldrin.
Okay.
But the point is that when you pass that assessment test, you could either understand how amazing it is to see that not everyone qualify as an astronaut. Spiritually, mentally, physically, it's a high level quality of human being that will be sent to accomplish these missions. So I almost feel like that war against Mars in the future could only happen if humans on Earth go dumber.
It ain't like we that smart. Come on.
Because they will only send people who are beyond, our emotional intelligence ability.
Okay, but wait a minute now. You got to understand. Here's what happens. This war is not going to take place next week. What's going to happen is these people will have kids and their kids will have kids, okay? And so once you get a couple generations down the line, the connection to Earth is no longer as strong as it is for you or me if we left home because our family's here. But you get a couple generations that I don't know these dudes, okay? Out there on their rivers and lakes. We don't have that, we play in the dirt. That's what Mars is, right? So you got to assume... I ain't got no reservations fighting these dudes because I'm jealous that they have a whole ocean out there with fish. They don't deserve that. Matter of fact, we might conquer Earth and repopulate just to show you what time it is.
That's probably what happened. I wonder if coronavirus was sent by the future. Please, let's not put that into out of context because it's really it's really important to realize how much technology innovations we could have used to help us in this time of crisis. When we see the history, there is always something. Look at 2020. I had so much hope that it would be finally, a little bit of relief after what happened in 2017, 18, 19. And I think that things like local farming that is available for the neighborhood, things like a Mars suit that could provide different supply for our body, either everything like from music, food, a little bit of the, not diapers, but smart diapers and supplement, workout, everything.
Oh, that's right. If you in one of those suits, you have to wear diapers.
Yeah, of course. Maybe it's more sophisticated than that. They may have a very advanced toilet.
A very advanced toilet? That sounds like a diaper to me. Here's your CB2 advanced toilet design. But this looks like a diaper. Yeah, it's a Huggies, but don't worry about that.
Yeah, imagine if Victoria's Secret has the version for Mars for that, you see? That's the extreme, but imagine the version that we could create during this kind of crisis. I don't know what will happen. Hopefully everything will be better for the next, 2 months, but... apparently this week is critical, for example. When you go out and wearing such vulnerable mask and have all these people around you, sometimes you have no choice. We could have had something a lot more prepared, basically, if we designed this about 10 years ago, for example.
Like plan for this. And that's what you're trying to do with Mars, like just get ahead of the curve.
That's right. It's very difficult because most of the population in the world, like you said earlier, were always asking, why Mars? For me, it's more like, why now? Or why yesterday? Why Mars is urgent? Because we need to advance. We're behind in nature because of the consummation culture that we have been adopting,
So let me ask you another, I guess, kind of sci-fi-ish question. So right now we in the midst of this genetic engineering revolution where you go in and use CRISPR and all these other things to modify the human body. So here's another thing I believe, and you could comment on this. All you scientists that watch us, if any scientists do watch us, you could comment in below. But I see if you send people to Mars, at some point, they would have to modify their bodies to deal with that harsh environment. Because I know Mars have heavy radiation. And I guess in theory, you could do some of this kinds of stuff. So these would be modified humans, which makes them even more different than us. And I think you would see that then spread across the galaxy as we begin to populate different places where human beings adjust their DNA to suit that environment. And so this is like the cradle of civilization, and now we're just spreading out, and all of these were descendants of Homo sapiens, and we all fighting each other anyway because we're still humans at our core.
Yes, hopefully.
Does that sound credible? Possible?
I think it's not just possible, but it is it's necessary. I don't know. And haven't you ever thought of why we all look different? Like when you look at the people. Okay, I'm from Asia, as you could see.
Right,
so
right. I couldn't tell, but go on.
People in Japan, for example, North Japan are way taller than in South Korea, for example, or even in Indonesia, we're like darker skin, and some of the Indonesian on the east side are having like curly hair. All of that is accustomed to, of course, the ancient time of their ancestors, but mostly I believe that nature create us to adapt to our geography, in Africa, when you have, I believe that even when I was a kid, that African hair that are very curly is to protect your skull from the sun, because of the position of the sun radiates differently to our body. So because we did a lot of experiment and brainstorming on how physically we should be designed to live on Mars, right? So you have a lot of these other movies that have been out, like Mars National Geographic. They attempt to show what kind of look, like people may be taller and there may be more like a gummy bear, because of the bone that is adapted to the 1/3 gravity. And maybe their lungs are a lot bigger because they need to preserve more air. There is not enough air on Mars. And maybe when you live for so long in space, you don't actually need your legs. So perhaps people that have no limbs are the best candidates to live for a long time in space, because we don't actually need those legs to run or to walk, right? It's really interesting to envision that. And we work for mostly the mental health as well.
Because you're in isolation on Mars for the most part. Even if there are people there, there are not a lot of people. You're not going to be at no party and go, wow, this is lit. Look at the thousands of people. Right?
Yes. And also most difficult task is to get along with those same people over and over again.
Oh my goodness. These dudes can end up killing each other.
That's why I was imagining if we go, when we go to Mars, astronauts would need to remember home sometimes because they miss their family, they miss their friends. And so we created a type of products like perfume that reminds them to Earth, for example. So I work with a local Venice artist who makes this mix of scent. And I told her that, if I go to Mars, I would like to bring that, the scent. And it reminds me to when it rains in a very warm weather, it smells like wet concrete. In Jakarta, the tropical, and she created this, and so it's called the desert rain. So we have created like a set of Earth perfumes that astronauts could take with them.
Let me ask you a design thing, because you create a habitat on Mars and there's a window. Now, if you just have a regular window and I look out, all I can see is rock, and it's 24-hour sunlight there, right? It's round the clock, the sunlight?
Oh, yes. So it's 24 hours plus 39 minutes.
That's the day.
Yeah, so you have a bonus of 39 minutes and few seconds.
Okay, so 24 hours, 39 minutes. So when I look out the window, all I see is this dirt. But if you have like a nice LCD screen or something there and I look out and it got the right depth and everything, whatever angle I look at, I could see like a field and maybe cows playing, or the cows play. I don't know what cows do. Or reading a book for all I know. Okay? So you get that nice earth feel. Is that something that you thought about in your design? To like trick our minds into believing we're on Earth, even though we're on Mars?
Yes, Skyy, except that we're able to create that in real tangible materials. So most of our Martian habitat designs are actually based on how the exterior here on Earth will look like. It will be the indoor. So it's like living inside. In
a bubble.
Yeah. So it will be mostly very comfortable, a lot of greeneries. We have a partner in the moss business. And it's really interesting because moss could actually produce oxygen quite a lot. I don't know if you have been in Ireland, for example.
No, I've not been to Ireland yet.
In Ireland, there was a place where I will always remember. We arrived after driving for about half an hour outside the city Dublin. And we see like forests of moss. They're like really, really tall moss. And there's nothing else. When you go outside the car, you just get overwhelmed because of how much oxygen, and also it's a beautiful green color that ease your sights. It's almost like you recharge. That's the way human recharges ourselves, but we kind of forget about that. We rather watch movies. So I'd like to bring more of that aspects of what nature offers us on Earth to be the interior design of our habitat on Mars.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So right now in Los Angeles, you're here. You see how many people we have living on the streets, right? So based on some of the stuff that you've already done, would it be very easy? Because I saw on your website, you said that the future in Mars would be like 3D printed, kind of. For us to build a very inexpensive 3D city in the desert where land's cheap, I'm assuming it's cheap because I don't think many people want to live there, and set up affordable housing for all these homeless guys?
That is absolutely possible. And I think there are a few companies who have been doing that in Europe.
Okay.
I'm not at all suggesting this is one of the another big issues that humans collectively need to solve. Homeless everywhere in the world, not just have issues economically, but mostly mentally, because some of them want to get help and they're no longer on the street, but some of them.
A lot of it is drugs and alcohol, and but we head to the point where now it's becoming, a result of economics, not just drugs and alcohol.
Yes. But beyond the immediate problems, I'm sorry that I'm more into the visionary side, so maybe sometimes it's too far off. But people could listen and when they are in charge in delivering, like many engineers, they actually make a good use of the visions that I offer. For example, I believe that it's only a few hundreds of years we become where we're at in our civilization today, but humans used to wander around in nature and go hunting and build their shelter temporarily, and then they travel again with a horse or walk, or so being inside a house in a residence, paying rent or buying a property and build a house, that's such a recent culture, I guess. So my take on this is that what if we recreate a better environment for the outside? How the city is built. It's something where people with residence or not are able to feel comfortable and happy. And yes, today there are so many complaints that anywhere we build a park for public kids and family to hang out, the homeless are always there, like in LA, right? But at the same time, if you're able to build a place, an environment where these people feel a lot happier and healthier without having to be dependent on drugs, and I think it will create a better society, and there is always a better solution. But to get back to the 3D printing, yes, it's not just to find an economic solutions and put them away from the street, but it's also to demonstrate that we could build a shelter remotely from the robotic system that we have, so that before arriving on Mars, we can already build the village.
Even before you land.
Okay. Yes. So this technology, once again, is benefiting all of us today, because there is another partner of our company called Redworks 3D. They are also in the Mojave Desert. They're able to put any type of dirt to make a rock, so that the structure of your house could be very cheap, because you just use the local material, and magic, it comes out as beautiful as the design you are ordering the machine to do. That's like an example, and in very short time as well. So yeah, that's definitely the direction we're.
That's cool. They could create a rock out of almost any. So why are we doing this though? I'm just saying, just throw up. Well, you have to think things out. There's probably a reason why, but just throw up a nice desert city, and like really affordable housing, and other businesses can come around to service that area if a lot of people there, But I that's something that the government should really look into. Anyway, so I was just saying that, just where the government hasn't put together some of these inexpensive 3D homes that you could just print anywhere. You could even turn a shipping container into a house. I mean, this. You're an architect. By the way, you want to design my home? I don't have the property yet or the money yet, but when I do, I'm calling you. And I want it Mars-like, okay? I want the Mars soil, and when people go pull up, they should be like, what the hell is this? And I'm going to be like, welcome to Mars.
Yes. So the key to building your own home is not finding a standard architecture that, pleases everybody. It has to spiritually, mentally please you as the person, the host who live there. The home should reflect your joy. Every single object have to, come from beautiful childhood memories or things that you remember that makes you happy. So whenever you come home, you're really just in heaven.
Do you design homes anymore? Or you just focus mainly on Mars now?
I have been full-time on this project for the past 4 years and a half.
4 years?
Yeah, so this year we're hoping to collect the funding for next year building. We start the project next year. We already have the land in the Mojave Desert.
How big is it going to be?
So we start with 100 acre. 100 acre represents 100 football field. I think for social distance, that's quite enough. If someone have one football field each. Okay, so the location is just next to Mojave Spaceport, where Virgin Galactic is, and at U.S. military base, Edward Air Force. So it's very much looking toward the aerospace hub. And at the moment, we are applying for really big funding that will enable us to also create the futuristic transportation system that will connect San Francisco to Las Vegas, that will open the new destination when you arrive from around the world to LAX. So you'll have a direct transport that will only take you about 20 minutes maximum to arrive to the Mars city. So we're calling very advanced technology type of companies.
So this isn't housing that you're going to be doing. You're going to be working on the transportation.
The entire city expansion, because, economically, I think it's important to make sure that your new village or city is somehow very well connected. So it's not isolated it should be isolated by choice, but let people have option of the connection, right? And it will be an advanced transportation that will connect this entire business to the city.
Wow. So some of your earlier stuff was like crowdfunding, like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, that kind of stuff, right? So right now, who are you raising money from? Or you can't? Are you able to tell us that?
Sure. It's a group of investors that have also built other type of smart cities in the world. It's a big funding, and it requires about 150 companies that will have the exclusive access to our facility that we're building.
Basically, they want the technology that you guys use. If this turns into something, that's how they'll make their money. Okay, I know they had to make money somehow. I just had to be sure. Just double checking, guys, making sure you're making a smart investment. You did good. Okay.
So yeah, we're inviting Hyperloop. We're inviting also Virgin Galactic, SpaceX, a lot of other energy alternative, clean energy companies. We will produce a Martian menu, food grower, and
because y'all gonna be into all the vertical farming, like y'all have to use that on Mars.
Yeah.
Dude, this is really, really cool, man. I'm really rooting for you to be successful in this, so that I could, take a girl to Mars someday, for lunch.
So the beautiful thing about this type of project is we don't just cover the technology to get there or to live there. It's about lifestyle and having a new way to live and, adapting to an extreme environment, where we are today, right? How do you live being enclosed at home with all the supply? You still have to get it from the outside, right?
Yeah.
You have delivery and stuff. So what if there is no outside? You have to be very smart and plan everything for the next 2 years until you can go home again. That's the situation we can imagine for the first generation going to Mars. The second generation, they may know already how to produce food and waste management. Who's going to take care of your toilet,
So let me wrap this up with this question to you. Do you think that you will get to Mars in your lifetime?
Me personally?
Yes, you personally.
I would say no, but I would say the project that we're doing, maybe.
Why you say no though? Why don't you think you'll ever get there? Because like right now they have all kinds of
The answer to that is the question that you asked earlier. The answer to that is because people still ask why Mars instead of asking. I think it's because of the budget. I think we have the technology to enable that to happen. We just don't have enough trust and faith for us to accomplish that today at our lifetime.
Okay, but here's the thing. Well, a lot of new technology out there in terms of age reversal and slowing aging. So, you never know, okay? So, we have not met in person, but guess what? Meet me at the mall on Mars, okay? I'm buying you ice cream, all right?
Yes. A blueberry ice cream for me.
I don't know if they have blueberries on Mars, but probably be some regolith flavored ice cream or something. It's on me. I'm buying, okay?
Thank you, Skyy.
Hey, listen, thank you very much, okay, for doing this. And we wish you all the best. I want you to be successful because I know it pays off in so many other areas, whatever you discover in this journey to Mars, all right?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Skyy. And thanks for your team to be working today.
All right. We going in lockdown, so this is the last interview before lockdown, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Adios, mi gente. Nos vemos. Please go check her out. See you later, all right?